Thanks for calling Duck Butter Communication, where we don't care if you owe us 3 cents, we will cut your phone off. This Keisha, what's up, pimp? What's up is y'all to cut my doggone phone off, like y'all retarded or stupid down there. Okay, ma'am, calm down. Ain't no calm down. Listen, I'm here to help you. Then help me. Say it with me, 1, 2, 3. I ain't saying nothing. Oh, I see, we got one of them. What's your name? It ain't in my name, it's in my mama name. What's your mama name? My mama name is Tamika. Dummy. And I heard that. Your mammy a dummy.
On the evening of March 27, a 36-year-old woman was brutally gunned down inside her own home by none other than her own husband. But what made this story even more shocking was something that happened over 10 years earlier. That same man had planned a deadly ambush to kill her and her boyfriend. She survived the attack, but her boyfriend didn't. Shockingly, just 2 weeks later, she married the man who had taken her boyfriend's life. Now the same man ended her life too, for one of the most senseless reasons. This is the heartbreaking case of Edwina Brown.
This is your man.
Yes.
Look at the screen.
That's mine. And
that's what you're going to settle for.
I'm going to stick beside him.
Edwina's tragic story unfolds in the community at Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, Arkansas is a place with a soaring crime rate that is 200% higher than that of the national average. And the most notable crimes that occur are burglary, aggravated assault, and homicide, which highlights the horrifying picture of this city, one that ultimately became the setting for Edwina's own tragic and violent end. Edwina Brown was born on May 16, 1986, in Little Rock, Arkansas, to Edwin Eugene Moore Sr. and the late Betty Jean Martin. She was the youngest of 4 children on her maternal side and the third of 9 children on her paternal side. Raised in a close-knit family, Edwina grew up in a city where the environment was nothing but challenging. Despite this, she was known to be resilient, warm, and determined. Edwina attended John Mlin High School, where she built strong friendships and maintained a lively social life. And right after high school, Edwina pursued her higher education at the University of Arkansas at Pulaski Tech, where she earned her associate's degree, a testament to her drive and ambition. As she stepped into adulthood, Edwina worked for several years as a phlebotomy technician, mastering her craft in the medical field before shifting her focus to entrepreneurship. She eventually launched her own clothing line called Bodacious Beauty Boutique, where she developed a loyal customer base and found meaningful ways to give back to her community.
It's gonna be in a medium and a small, and it's $5. Sharika, I'm watching Shameless, girl, and I can't stop watching. It's $5. I have a couple more of these. Tie up in the back, kind of like a night dress. These are $5, and it's in a small and a large. I just started, Sharika.
But her creative energy didn't stop there. Edwina also had a deep love for dance, dedicating herself to mentoring young dancers. She spent 4 years as a dance coach for the Bejeweled dance team, where she coached aspiring performers, volunteered in organizing competitions, and even competed herself.
Kicking big shit with my feet on 'em. I ain't even gotta touch the bitch cause her baby daddy beat on. No, for real, beat her ass, then he skip.
Dance wasn't just an interest for her, it was a form of expression, a passion that brought her immense joy. At the same time, Edwina remained committed to her professional growth. In recent years, Edwina dedicated herself to her career as a customer service advocate at Blue Cross Blue Shield, where she worked tirelessly to support her family while continuing to chase her dreams. As the lively and social person that she was, Edwina shared all of this on social media, where she regularly posted funny videos and skits, bringing smiles to those who followed her.
I hate those mamas who be like, I didn't raise him like that. Well, bitch, who did? Huh? Who taught him that, Patricia?
Do women still like flowers? Or do I gotta get a...
Give me an 8, babe.
Give me an A. Flower's gonna die. I'm gonna get high.
What's the face you make when someone you don't like walks in the room?
And her outgoing and social personality made her well loved online. Through all this, she raised her daughter, Danielle Michelle, whom she had from a previous relationship. Edwina was not just living, she was building a future, working hard to make a difference in her life and the lives of others. But everything changed when she met one man. At some point in 2012, Edwina met 27-year-old Danny Maurice Brown, a man who would ultimately bring darkness into her life. Their relationship started like any ordinary romance, with Edwina perhaps seeing potential in him. But beneath the surface, Danny harbored a dangerous possessiveness that he kept hidden.
I got you. Mr. All Hundreds, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Make It Rain, Mr. Too Much Money.
Esau.
You doing this shit too long.
Ronell, don't come on here with no jokes.
Who is that?
Ronell, he working at Verizon, but he a comedy.
In time, his nature surfaced and Edwina would finally see the true colors of Danny. Edwina soon came to realize the danger of Danny's control and obsession, but it wasn't long until his dark nature would reach a devastating climax. Edwina eventually recognized the warning signs and made the difficult decision to leave him. She found love again with 22-year-old Daniel Hill, a man who treated her with kindness and respect, but Danny refused to let her go. Consumed by jealousy and rage, Danny believed that Edwina belonged only to him. If he couldn't have her, no one could. This twisted obsession led him to orchestrate a brutal attack that would change everything. On January 3rd, 2012, Danny hired 2 men to ambush and kill both Edwina and Daniel. He told the gunmen that he did not care how they killed them, but asked them not to hurt the kids. Edwina and Daniel weren't together for very long when the tragic incident would fall on them. They were coming home to their apartment on Green Mountain Drive on that fateful day when the series of violent events happened. Just in front of their apartment, they were cornered by the gunmen Danny hired. In just moments, the couple was shot. Edwina on the shoulders, while Daniel was shot multiple times, with the location of his injuries unknown to the public.
So we're responding right now for a report of a shooting victim. 2 gunshot victims. One's a CPR and the other one shot in back and she's alert. But this one this is a CPR right now. Okay. And then you got this one with a gunshot wound to the back that's being addressed already. All right, we're on a scene of a multiple shooting. We have 2 gunshot victims. One's in the ambulance being treated by the EMTs and the paramedics. And the second victim's being treated by the fire department, and we're waiting. The second ambulance is on the way here now. Paramedics on scene, they're assessing it, and they're treating both victims at this time. Is he stable? Yeah. Okay. The bullet's sitting right here in the front of it. All right.
They were then both brought to the hospital. Edwina recovered from her injuries. However, Daniel unfortunately did not make it. But this is only the beginning of the violence Danny would unleash. As the authorities investigated the brutal attack of Edwina and Daniel, the 2 gunmen were eventually found and held accountable. One of the gunmen was identified as Quentin Bernard Jones, who was charged with first-degree murder and criminal attempt to commit murder. This arrest, however, still does not give justice to the death of Daniel. And so, Quentin did not hesitate to point at Danny as the mastermind of the entire attack. He confessed the involvement and orders made by Danny to end the lives of the couple. But just when it seemed like Danny would finally pay for his crime, an unexpected turn changed everything. A key witness refused to cooperate, which caused the prosecutors to drop the charge of capital murder against him. And so, he got away with the murder and walked free. Meanwhile, the 2 gunmen faced the full force of the law, with one receiving 55 years in prison, while the other was sentenced to life behind bars. But while the world was reeling for the failure of serving justice, what happened next was even more shocking. Just 2 weeks after the brutal attack that ended her boyfriend's life and put her in danger, Edwina married the very man who was responsible for the tragedy she faced. This decision defied logic, leaving the people around her asking, why? Whether out of manipulation or the thought that she could change him, it wasn't clear.
This is your man.
Yes.
Look at the screen.
That's mine. I'm gonna stick beside him.
That's what you're going to settle for.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
Unbeknownst to Edwina, this action would ultimately be the cause of another tragedy a decade later. For almost 11 years, Edwina and Danny lived together and got married. Throughout the years of being together, everything continued as if the tragedy that cost one man his life did not happen. They even had a child together, who they named Danny Maurice Brown III. They would constantly be seen in social media sharing skits of their seemingly happy family. To outsiders, it seemed as though their marriage was an attempt to move on, and a chance to rebuild after the chaos of their past. All this time, she continued with her work, cared for her children, and continued to do her passions in life. But behind the cameras and inside their home, their relationship was far from stable, and it wasn't long until the same violent nature of Danny would surface. And on March 27, 2024, the peace that Edwina had tried to build came crumbling down. That day started like any other, but as the hours passed, tensions began to rise. Around 4 p.m., Danny Brown arrived at Edwina's home at 4704 Fairleigh Drive in Little Rock, Arkansas, where she had been living apart from him. At first, it was just one of those arguments that couples would have, but soon, the tension between them grew to something even more dangerous. It was at this point when Danny finally snapped. As the confrontation grew more intense, Danny's temper flared beyond control. Words turned into threats, and soon, threats turned into violence. Danny pulled out a gun and shot Edwina. In a matter of seconds, she was betrayed yet again by the man she gave another chance to. The same man who had once tried to kill her, and now had finished what he started 10 years ago. Right after shooting Edwina, Danny took off, trying to run from what he had done. When officers got to the scene, they found Edwina fighting for her life.
On March 27th, around 4 in the afternoon, police say Danny Brown went to his estranged wife's house on Fairleigh Drive in Little Rock.
The information we have is that Danny Brown entered the house. I guess maybe an argument ensued. He allegedly shot his wife.
It's been over a week since that happened, and police are looking to get Brown behind bars, including the U.S. Marshal's Office, who has been asked to help.
Well, of course, we want to do this as safely as possible. We don't want anyone to get hurt, including Danny Brown. Preferably, we'd rather Danny Brown just turn himself in, do the right thing.
Police have gotten close to arresting him, but they say he's made it clear he will not be taken in quietly.
One of our biggest tips, I guess, came from Danny Brown himself. He actually called the Little Rock Police Department, gave a statement to them, and then made the statement that he would basically either harm himself or harm others if he was ever cornered by, anyone, especially law enforcement.
If you see Danny Brown or know where he is, police ask that you not approach him because he is considered armed and dangerous. You should call the U.S. Marshal's Office instead.
Edwina was rushed to the hospital to try to save her, but despite emergency efforts, she succumbed to her injuries at a nearby hospital. The same man she had once trusted, the man she had chosen to forgive, had now become her executioner. News of Edwina's death spread quickly, and the police investigation immediately identified Danny Brown as the murderer of his wife, and the search for him immediately started.
And Ashley's with us now on set. Ashley, I know you've done a lot of research on this case today. How far are we getting? Do we know anything about this suspect?
Karen, it's still a process. We're still working to confirm a lot, but what we do know is there are possible cases against Mr. Brown right now, possibly out of state, so we're still working to confirm that and make sure that we know everything we can before we report it.
Absolutely, we must confirm. Well, we know you'll do that, Ashley. You do a fabulous job at stories like this. It's very delicate. Let us know what you find out in the meantime.
He was labeled armed and dangerous, and the public was warned not to approach him. For over a week, Danny stayed on the run, trying his best to evade the authorities. It wasn't long until the U.S. Marshals got involved in the pursuit of arresting Danny. But as law enforcement closed in, weeks went by, and Danny successfully evaded the grasp of police. But the hunt would soon come to a conclusion. On April 5, 2024, the U.S. Marshals tracked Danny down to an apartment in Dallas, Texas. As the officers cornered him, Danny made an attempt to do one last escape. He ran towards it to try and jump to once again evade the police, but it was not to be. As soon as he looked down the balcony, he found the police waiting for him. Trapped with no way out and realizing that running was no longer an option, Danny had no choice but to surrender. And with that, he finally raised his hands to surrender without a fight. Once in custody, Danny was extradited back to Arkansas. He now faces capital murder charges for the killing of his wife, Edwina Brown. The man who had once escaped justice after orchestrating a deadly attack was finally behind bars. But the battle for justice is still far from over. As of now, Danny awaits trial, finally facing the consequences of the violence that he inflicted on two innocent people. His arrest brought a sense of relief to the people that were left by the tragedy of Edwina's death, but it did not erase the pain of losing a mother, a friend, and a beloved member of the community. The road to justice is still long, and the trial will determine whether Danny will finally be held accountable for his actions, or if another loophole will allow him to escape punishment once again. On April 15, 2023, Edwina's friends and family gathered at the Williams Temple in Little Rock, Arkansas, to celebrate her life and the memories that she left with them. Filled with an overwhelming sense of grief, disbelief, and love, her loved ones gathered to celebrate the life she lived, even as they mourned the one that was stolen too soon. Edwina's story left the community reminded of the devastating consequences of unchecked violence and the painful cycle of abuse. It highlights how jealousy, control, and manipulation can escalate into something fatal, and how even those who survive the worst may still find themselves trapped in danger. Justice for Edwina is long overdue, but perhaps her story can prevent another woman from suffering the same fate. Let us know what you think about this story in the comments below.